Hello, everybody, and welcome to the McRADcast. I'm here today with my friend Kim and Josh, as usual. Kim, how are you?
I am great.
Awesome. So, I'm going to talk a little bit real quick about how we've already recorded one episode with our buddy Tanner, which will be the first thing that we put out. And these aren't going to come out like immediately, so it's like a little bit of a delay.
Sure.
But one thing that immediate feedback that Tanner gave me was it felt interviewy at the beginning, and that's like what I wanted to avoid.
Yeah.
But it was just like this to get into the natural flow. For some reason, it took that the first time.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of sucked. Not the episode, and Tanner's great.
Right.
But I don't want it to be that. Like, I don't want to be like, so where are you from?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't want it to be like that either.
Yeah.
But we seem to have like a pretty good like online banter.
Yes.
We'll see if that translates.
Sure. So what I want to talk about, and this is something that came up in the car today. I went to my mom's house and ate breakfast with my mom. And on the way there, something that just kind of came up, I guess I'd been kind of thinking about it, but I was like finally kind of, I like dialed in on it, was so social media is huge. Everyone's got a Facebook page. Everybody's got a Twitter account. Everybody's got whatever, a YouTube channel, and everyone has an opinion or whatever. So, which is great. That's fine. But one thing I also noticed was, so you know, like everybody loves memes, right? It's just like meme central. Everybody's got memes and whatever. Well, I started thinking about it too, and I was like, we're getting to a point of like critical mass or something with memes where it's like, now it's just like recirculating the same meme in a different format.
Right.
But and that's what I started kind of thinking about. But then I realized that this is just my kind of perception of it. It makes almost everyone think they're a comedian, or that everyone thinks they're funny.
I think everybody thinks that nowadays anyway.
Just because they shared a thing that they didn't even make.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, saying that, I realize it makes me sound like an asshole because, like, I mean, I think I'm funny, but I don't think that I'm, like, hysterical. I don't know. All I know is growing up and in my life, I've had a million people tell me, oh, you're a funny guy or whatever. So I do believe that.
Right.
But I'll make memes myself, but I never like credit myself.
Yeah.
And I've seen people share, and that's like one of my little litmus tests.
Right.
Is like someone will share the meme I made.
Yeah.
But they won't share it from my page.
Right.
They'll just like save it, and then they'll post it, like.
Oh yeah.
And at the end of the day, I don't know. I don't care really, but
right.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, okay. Do you remember? I go to like estate sales and all kinds of places like that. Well, that day that I found that vintage, Samsonite briefcase from like the 80s, and it says, "You better check yourself before you wreck yourself." Ice Cube. And I took a picture of it.
Yeah.
And I saw like a week later, a girl I went to high school with just posted the picture, like. No backstory, nothing. Didn't like share it from me, and I'm like, okay, that's weird. It's not really like a meme. Like, what's happening here?
And and to clarify that, it wasn't like another one of the same. It was like literally the picture you posted.
It was original content of like when I was showing off this prize that I just found. Like check this out.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, like a week later, I was looking at her page, and I'm like, what?
But that happens so much, and I think that it makes people think that they are that funny.
Right.
And they're not.
Yeah.
Like, I know some of the people that post memes, and they're not funny.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, it's aggregate funny.
But I think it gives people this false, and it's had an adverse effect on myself where I actually want to try, finally, at age 37, stand-up comedy. Like, I want to finally give it a shot. But I have this thing in my mind, like, I don't think I'm that funny.
Well, I think that's what most comedians, feel that way.
Probably, maybe, yeah. I was thinking about that too. I was like, does Dave Chappelle, like, when he goes up, like, I mean, he obviously has had tons of affirmation, but does he write jokes going like, oh, this is funny as shit? Yeah. Like, he thinks it's funny, but does he think it's going to kill?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe not. And I don't mean just him, like any comedian, but I don't. It's given me a bunch of doubt because I'm like. Because I've shared memes that I didn't make. I'm not saying that I don't do that, but I don't know. It's weird because now we live where everyone can share anything, and I've seen people even pass off status updates with it's not a meme. That's just like
Like it's clearly they Googled it and found something funny. And
or it's from a meme that I saw the day before.
Right.
And I'm like, that's not your thought.
Yeah, they just literally steal someone else's thought or comedy and then put it in as their own thought.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's unoriginal.
It's super weird to me because they don't
that's
say
the world
like,
we live in.
They don't quote anybody.
Well, how many unique original people do you know?
A
Like
couple.
genuinely.
Yeah,
I mean, you know several, but you also know way more people that don't have any substance whatsoever.
Yeah.
Right? And so, and those, you can see those, you can spot them from a mile away. You're like, oh, okay. You have a conversation with them for 10 minutes and you're like, all right, well, there's no substance in you at all.
Sure. And I also get into that thing where I'm like, I don't want to be like, I'm the gatekeeper of funny
Right.
things. That's not true. But at the same time, it's like, and those people that I'm calling out, which I would never call out, individually, they might think, well, you're not that funny. And I'm like, well, I'm funnier than you. So I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
I save my funny for like in person.
I tried it. Yeah.
It comes across much
Well, just
better.
like in text messaging,
Yeah.
or anything that's not personal, like face to face, it's hard if someone doesn't know you. It's even hard when people do know you to get the full context of something.
Yeah.
So I try to make a joke sometimes online that completely fails because people don't understand.
They don't
Right.
read it in the same way you intended it.
Yeah, or they forget who I am or something. I don't know, or they don't even know me at all. But no, it's weird. I think that we live in this weird like social media thing where people are like, I'm hilarious because I got all these memes. I'm like, you're not hilarious.
Right.
You just shared some things that somebody I don't know.
People get offended way easier when something is written than it is when you can actually hear someone's inflection and their tone.
Yeah.
Because tone is, we say things, we type them out with a tone intended,
Yep.
and then we hear it in our own head. This is
Sure.
the tone I intended, and then somebody else reads it on the other end of that device, and a completely different tone in which they just put a tone on it that they think you're saying, and then it totally gets misrepresented.
Whenever I read something, even any text message or anything, if I like initially take it the wrong way, I immediately go, oh, that's just my insecurity.
Right.
Like I automatically chalk it up to that, even if I find out later they were being like, okay, like, but I immediately go to like, that's probably just me overthinking it. Anyway, but yeah, everybody's a comedian. Well, for example, this is another one, and I'm not defending the person I'm about to bring up, and I don't know if you know about this whole thing or not, but the Ari Shaffir tweet after Kobe Bryant passed away. Do you know who Ari Shaffir is?
Did it have anything to do with like what Kobe did back in the day?
Yes.
Okay.
But it was like, so do you know who Ari Shaffir is?
Yes.
Okay, so Ari, and not, what was that?
I don't know.
I hope I'm not the asshole that didn't turn from.
It's okay. I was just like, what?
That was
High frequency.
Yeah, very loud, high frequency.
So Ari Shaffir posts. So first of all, it's important to understand that he is like a troll. That's what it's like. He's
Right.
proud of that fact. He is a troll.
He literally gets paid millions of dollars for being that.
And he does this every time any high level person passes away, and he
Right.
puts this like, "Oh, I'm glad for this reason," or whatever it is.
Sure. Yeah.
And he basically tweeted out, props to the guy who forgot to refuel the chopper or something like that, and Lakers suck, and something about liberals, something liberal Hollywood cares more about basketball than they do rapists, and it was just this whole, and I'm paraphrasing all of it, you can go read it if you want to, and I'm not defending anything he said, but I also, because I'm not a huge fan of Ari Shaffir as far as being a comedian. He's not, to me, like, he's just really not my cup of tea.
Right.
But this is something that happens a lot where someone goes after, like, the whole cancel culture thing happens, and they go, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. It's like, well, what you're doing now is what he wanted. He wanted you to react the way you're reacting. Like, you're fueling him.
Right.
But also they start saying, like, he want get him fired and take him off of Twitter. And so that's where I start having a problem. Because what happens is, first of all, those people before this happened didn't even know who Ari Shaffir was.
Right.
They were never going to listen to Ari Shaffir anyway. They would have never read the tweet if someone didn't share it to social media.
Yeah.
He has zero effect on your life.
Right.
Yeah,
And
they're being
second of all,
outraged about literally nothing.
yes, because you can't say that Kobe was and he was an icon. I get it, but like, there's also people that are like trying to get clout off of that. They're saying like, "Oh, cool!" Like
anytime a celebrity dies, everyone loves the celebrity way more than they really did.
yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? It's like a weird attention grabbing thing that people do. Well, I loved him. This is how he affected my life, and it's like, nah, that's probably not true.
Yeah.
But I just don't. I think that especially when it comes to comedy. Well, first of all, like I'm all about free speech, like 100% of the time, all the time, because I do think that yes, there can be repercussions and consequences to what you say.
Yeah.
But you should still be able to say them.
Right.
Let the market decide, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But with comedy, it's weird because not every joke is going to be funny.
And don't you think it's not like most comedians now aren't like just saying like straight jokes? It's more like telling stories about like what's happened to them.
Sure.
And like so many people can relate to it. I don't know if it's just like the female comedians, but I mean, I notice Bill Burr is that way too.
There's
Like,
a lot.
He can kind of go.
There's a lot. He's actually kind of chilling out as he gets older, I think. But he really cashed in on the whole like rant about whatever, you know. And he did it in a way that it didn't feel like naggy. It was just funny. It was because he's Boston guy, you know. He's got the whole thing going on.
Did you hear him like tear up the crowd in Pennsylvania?
In Philadelphia, yeah.
Like the best.
Oh yeah, I think that actually launched him like
basically
super hard.
springboarded him.
Yeah, but you know, I think some of my favorites, like Tom Segura, like that guy, he just talks about like stuff that happens in his life, same thing, and it's just his perception of that is hilarious. But my point is that not every joke is going to be funny,
right?
But every joke I'm paraphrasing this because someone much smarter and funnier and greater than myself had this thought. Patrice O'Neill, who's one of my favorite of all time. He once said that comedy, whether the joke is funny or not, it comes from the same birth, right?
Yeah.
It comes from someone going, I'm trying to make people laugh when I say something, right? The thing about with what Ari Shaffir did was he presented something that wasn't necessarily a joke as much as it was just it was a joke, but not the way people look at jokes.
But is that really a joke though? Like,
I don't think he's happy that Kobe died. No, I don't. I really don't think that at all. I think he's one of those guys that, and once again, I'm not taking it for the guy. Like, he can speak for himself. I just think that he made a joke that people that really like him would like. I think they would dig it. Probably. There's probably some guys like, oh yeah, that was great. But really, my point was more about the whole backlash of, well, get him off of Twitter and get him fired. I think that's just a bullshit concept. Right. Like, yeah, maybe he shouldn't. Where does it end? Yeah, maybe he shouldn't have said it, but
yeah, it's tasteless, right? It's probably a tasteless joke, but there's no rule.
Sure,
there's no rule on Twitter that you can't make tasteless jokes.
Well, I feel like with comedy too, it's like either everything's okay or nothing is. I really do think it's that. I think that it is that polar when it comes to what can you say and what can you not say. I don't think you can police it at all, especially in comedy.
Yeah, because did Ari Shaffir hurt his family's feelings?
I don't think so.
Even if he did, I mean, like, we're not all protected from someone else hurting our feelings.
Sure.
Right? It's not a thing. It's not a real. We don't have the right to be protected.
Yeah. Right.
For no one else to ever hurt our feelings.
Yep.
So and you don't want to harp on how rich they are because that doesn't matter in this moment. But like, they're gonna be fine. It sucks they lost their dad and their sister, but like, Ari Shaffir's joke didn't hurt them any more than the loss of those two human beings.
But don't you think he kind of capitalized off of that?
Absolutely.
And now more people know his name because he did that?
Yes, but those people that know his name now aren't going to go
and I don't, maybe
watch him.
Maybe. I honestly think, though, the way that the attention span of the world now, I think that in 1 year from now, no one's going to remember that guy's Ari. Like, the people that are so pissed at Ari Shaffir are not going to know Ari Shaffir.
And I don't think Ari does things for money anymore. Because literally, Rogan has said it a million times. He's the only one that got fuck you money and then took it and told everyone to fuck off.
Yeah.
He's the only guy in that group that will disappear for 6 months at a time until Comedy Central or whoever else he's got to deal with, fuck off.
My favorite was people jumped to this a lot too. They said he was a white supremacist. Like, he's the most Jewish guy ever. Like, what are you talking about?
Jewish as fuck.
Yeah. Like, just looking at him and then his name alone, you're like, okay, that guy. Yeah.
I mean, he's an atheist Jew, but he's still Jewish, right?
Absolutely. It's just weird that people just jump on those things. It's almost like it's like, I've got to have the thing to be it's like,
right.
I don't know. It's like they're trying to position themselves as like morally superior to everyone,
Yeah.
and I'm fed up with that. I don't like it. So.
It's really annoying.
That's why I got off of Twitter completely, because I was like,
Yeah.
I was getting like baited into I was like arguing on the internet. And I'm like, what am I doing? It was weird. Like, and I stepped away from it, and when I did, immediately was like, oh, I feel way better now.
Yeah.
Because people just immediately like, why are you arguing on the? Don't argue on the internet.
Yeah, I think everybody should take a week or two off of social media here and there, just like to detox from the mess.
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lesson because I was trying to argue with political debates and all these things.
See, no.
And I was because there's so much hypocrisy, and I hate the one thing I hate in the world is dishonesty and hypocrisy. And so every time I would see it, I'm like, hey, this is kind of hypocritical of you to say, and then they would just argue with it. I was like, no, I wasn't trying to argue with you.
You're
I'm just
never going to change anybody's mind.
That's
so
the
you're
problem.
Just
Yeah.
wasting your time.
Absolutely, yeah. And so I literally got to a point where I was like, I gotta go, and I took 3 or 4 months off of social media, and then came back slowly and learned my lesson. I just don't eat the things that trigger me on there. I'm like, okay, and then I'll literally type out a response for my own benefit, and then I just delete it. I never post it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's all it is when you start to engage in it. It's for you for some reason.
It's your own ego saying, hey, I know more than you. Hey, I'm smarter than you. Or, hey, my opinion matters more than yours. And
well, it's funny because I do that thing where, like, when I was younger especially, if I got into some kind of, like, if someone was making fun of me or if whatever it was, and then, like, hours later, you'd be like, I should have said.
I know,
You know what I mean?
always.
in the shower later.
Yeah. You're arguing with shampoo bottles.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I said the thing, yeah.
Got you so good.
But now you can say the thing hours later because it's still there,
Right.
and you shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's silly as hell. But yeah, the reason that I think that created like, it was like the reason I have the sense of humor I have was like being the fat kid, and like just like I was like I don't want to feel like shit all the time.
Right.
And I clearly didn't want to not be the fat kid enough to not be it. So it was like accept that fate or whatever, and then kind of turn it on its head. And that's how I.
Right.
And so that's why I don't want to be that guy that's like everyone's super sensitive, because that's what you hear.
Right.
And I would never use the term snowflake because I think that's the silliest shit when people are like snowflake.
That's the equivalent. That's the right's equivalent to the left's calling someone a Nazi immediately, right? It's the same thing. It comes from the same place. It's weird. It's like you and not being either or. You can sit and watch and be like, why are you both acting like assholes?
Yeah.
Why are we automatically just canceling each other by calling each other a snowflake or a Nazi immediately? That there's no discussion being had on the internet. Almost none.
Oh yeah.
Right?
So for me though, like the way I crafted my sense of humor, and the reason I love this so much today is if someone makes fun of me to this day, even if I don't know them that well, if it's funny,
Right.
I'm totally down with it. Like it's if you are actually funny, and I know that your intent is to be funny.
Right.
Like I don't get all butthurt about like any of that.
Yeah, me either.
So that's and I think I don't know if it's more of a dude thing with their friends. Like we talk shit to each other a lot, but I don't know.
Well, I don't know, because me and my best friend Shauna, I mean, we will just give it to each other all day, and it's just, I mean, obviously we don't really mean it. But.
Yeah, and I don't know. I guess. And I don't know, I'm not down with like actual bullying. Like if it comes down to like physically harming someone or whatever. But like I don't know, like me and Josh like constantly call each other a piece of shit. And
Right.
like it just is what it is. Like,
To be honest, you're not my friend if I haven't called you terrible things.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how genuinely you know if you've come into my friend group or not, is if I call you a piece of shit, you're my friend now.
Yeah.
Because
But
I
I
don't
don't
call
know.
people, I don't waste my time on actual pieces of shit to tell them that they're a piece of shit.
But it's weird. But like online, if you're like even talking to a friend, if you call somebody a piece of shit, like everyone's gonna be like, oh,
Yeah, they stick up for that person. Yeah.
Which also brings me to another thing that I was thinking about is one thing I hate online so badly is when a girl posts something and then someone makes a joke about what they post or something, and then all the white knights show up. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, yes.
It bums me out because we're going to break this down, and here's what's actually happening. The guy who made the joke, or even another person, girl, it doesn't matter, who made the joke about the girl or whoever posted the thing, whenever someone comes to their defense, I don't know what they think's going to happen. Like they're going to score some cool points with this girl.
They're definitely thinking, I'm going to get in on this.
Yeah, and it's so weird because I'm like, do you think they really said that to be? I don't know. It's just weird to to come to, I don't know, just to like show up and be like, well, you shouldn't say, I don't know.
Well, kind of in the same vein, when somebody that you've clearly met in person post, and mostly it's females, women, whatever, post a photo that they have filtered so much that they don't even have a nose anymore, and like you can see warpy lines from where they tried to make themselves skinnier, and then there's like 75 comments of, you look gorgeous, you look beautiful. I'm like, why are y'all buying into this? Like,
yes, it's the same. Yeah, it's the same kind of principle. But you're right. My favorite ones are those ones that you can see they
don't have any pores on their skin anymore. It's
but have you seen the ones?
Armpits also are not allowed.
Yeah.
Like,
Have you seen the ones though with the girls that are clearly not as skinny as but they don't know how to work Photoshop, so they thin the whole picture, so that like they're going into like a wormhole or something.
Yep.
Exactly.
You're like,
and their arm will like bend weird into this way.
Yep.
And like, you're not fooling anybody, because
so
there are
funny.
psychos like me and you that know Photoshop really well, and we see what you're doing.
Oh, and by the way, speaking of that, I just got Photoshop again.
Yes.
And it's weird because it's been so long since I've like sat down and really worked with Photoshop, and I never was like a master. I was pretty decent. I thought I could do some pretty, fun, just for fun, funny stuff. But I don't remember anything. Like I can remember like two hotkeys, and I'm like sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, what is the tool called where you do that? And so it's really like a relearning, but it's coming along pretty quick because you have presented a couple times where like Photoshop war, and I think we got to get back into that so we can battle it out. But yeah, it's been so long since I've had it, and I found I totally paid for it too.
Whoa. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
But I'm relearning, so I'll be back.
I think I need to take a picture of you and filter it just like the females do.
Aggressive filter.
With no nose.
Yeah.
And we need to warp you.
It'll be terrible.
And post it. And see how many people tell you you're beautiful.
Yeah. No filter, or what's the hashtag they use?
Hashtag no
and you're
filter.
like, bullshit. Every filter.
Yeah.
All the filters.
Maybe if you use enough filters, it's like you didn't use any.
You literally have a dog's nose.
Yeah, it's weird, man. I don't know. But it comes from, I don't know where that comes from. Is it just because people are that insecure with what they actually look like?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
think
it's crazy.
That's exactly what it is. Everybody is terrified of what... It's like when we first started doing this, everybody hates their own voice on a recording. That's a thing. It's just a universal thing. Because you hear your voice in a certain octave, and then when it comes out of your brain, because it's not in your skull, it sounds like that to everyone else, but you think it sounds like what you hear. Well, it's different when it comes out loud, and everybody else is used to hearing me this way. But when I go back and listen, I'm not used to hearing me that way, and it sounds awful.
We're like, dude, we know you sound like shit forever.
This is why I'll never sing in public, because I sound amazing in my head, but I'm afraid.
Well, we encourage that.
Yeah, singing for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can do that. We can definitely get a pic and filter it up and see, just see if we get any.
Yeah,
Just
see how many
cast it out
likes
there.
you get.
Yeah, right.
Hit it on the Tinder, bro.
Yeah, Tinder. That's a weird one.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so
Moving on.
yeah, moving right along. All right, I don't know how soon we get into this. Well, we're talking about social media. I don't know if you can talk about. Can you talk about the Anthony Michael Hall thing, or is that a?
Well, it's not like signed on the dotted line, but I did have a phone call with him to go over his social media.
So you know Anthony Michael Hall.
Yes.
All right, just
That's
gotta get that out there.
Yeah.
You can take over.
So, I mean, not that well. It's just I have a friend that's an agent, and he Marky Ramone and Anthony Michael Hall, Edward Furlong. I mean,
nice.
he manages BAM. He's got a lot of people.
That's
so,
cool. Is he in LA or is he in?
He's kind of everywhere.
Okay.
Currently at HorrorCon this weekend.
Nice.
Yeah.
So he's an agent.
Yeah, so I think his company is more like he's the one that gets people to cons and for the meet and greets and things like that.
Celebrities and such.
Yeah,
Nice.
and he's also doing Anthony Michael Hall's tour. So he's like touring around the United States, showing like 16 Candles, Weird Science, The Breakfast Club. And then afterwards, he'll come out and do like a Q&A and then like a meet and greet. So
That'd be so cool to go to.
I know I'm trying to get him to come to the Franklin Theater because they like to do smaller venues. And that would be the perfect one.
That'd be so, because I mean, I know you share the same love for the 80s that I do.
Yes.
I don't know if it's the same, but because I'm obsessed with it.
I am like,
Yeah,
I am obsessed.
It's weird, and I know that it's like a nostalgia thing for the most part, but like when people talk about how cheesy certain things were, I'm like, that was awesome.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
Like the hair, the fashion, the music, like every bit of it. And people are like, man, the cheesy. And I'm like, and sometimes, not as much now as I get older.
Right.
But before I'd be like, yeah, it's totally cheesy. That's, and then I'd be like, go home and be like, I love that stuff.
Yeah. Well, all the movies from the 80s were the best. And, you know, when watching Stranger Things, it really makes me want to crawl into an 80s nostalgia hole and never get out.
Well, Stranger Things nailed something about the 80s that most didn't. So most of the movies from the 80s show you the super hip, like high fashion stuff about the 80s.
Yeah.
Not the like station wagons and wood paneling and you know what I mean?
That's what I grew up with.
Exactly.
So like I'm, you know.
So in Stranger Things was like so I don't know how you felt about the progression, but here's how it was for me. I had no idea what it was when it launched. I wasn't like in on anything about it, and I was sick from work, and I stayed home, was on the couch like drinking soup, and I was like, what is this? Stranger Things, what is this? Yeah. So I just put it on and I binge watched the whole thing in one day. There's like 8 episodes for the
same.
Yeah. And I was like, what the hell did I just watch?
I know.
To the point where I went back and rewatched it over the next week again. And I loved how they captured this, like, because it has a lot of the stuff I loved about the 80s, but it wasn't just that.
Right.
It was like more normal life stuff. Oh, obviously with the supernatural element.
Yeah, and I'll never forget when the season 2 trailer came out and it's playing. I think it was Thriller that was playing, and like I can feel the goosebumps now because I'm like the biggest Michael Jackson fan, and I'm like, they made this for me. They made it for me.
I actually tried to. I was gonna get you a little patch. A Captain, what is it, Captain EO?
Yes.
And it got outbidded.
Someone outbid you?
You got outbitten?
Outbidded. Yeah.
He
Don't know how to spell it.
He got outbidded, y'all.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I was totally going to do that because I was like, that would be cool. And then it like escalated so quickly because it was like, it started at like $15 and I was like, cool, 18. And then it was like, by the time it sold, it was like $90. And I was like,
no, I have a Captain EO Nemesis. Like, I can't get any of this stuff because they obviously have deeper pockets.
Yeah, you sent me a picture of that. Was it like a jacket? Yes. And it was one of those like, they were like almost like, I don't even know if they were like silky looking.
It's like a vintage satin jacket.
Satin, there you go.
Like those old baseball jackets.
Yeah, with like the elastic.
Yeah, I know.
Like
so
back
I collect
cuffs.
those. And there's a Captain
with like the
EO.
2 stripes down the side.
No, it's like striped around the collar and like down sometimes.
Yeah. My dad had one that I had for a while. It's somewhere still, probably in my like somewhere packed up.
Yeah.
But it's a white one. And it was a Hank Williams Jr.
Oh,
it had the like the what was it, like a Phoenix
logo
that he used, and it just said Junior, and like I had that forever, and it was like dingy as hell.
Oh, that would be perfect.
Smelled like cigarettes still, kind of.
Yes.
And it's somewhere.
People
it's
would
awesome.
pay extra for the cigarette smell.
Yeah, you could probably sell that for quite a bit.
Yeah, Winston's he smoked. Yeah,
nice.
yeah. Winston's, and like for some reason he was like every once in a while I want a menthol, so it was like Winston's and like Salem Lights or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Winston-Salem. Is that the same company?
Did you mean to do that?
No, but they are 2 cigarette companies.
I know I don't know if the parent company is the same, but I do definitely know those are 2 cigarette brands.
I just now put that together. Anyway, I used to steal them from, like, whenever I would smoke cigarettes when I was a kid, I would steal them from my dad.
I stole my mom's cigarettes one time and went to the woods. I was like literally like 10, and it was way too young, let's be honest. And then I was like, oh, this is a terrible idea. And then my mom found out and beat the hell out of me. And I was like, all right, still terrible idea.
Smoking is gross.
Yeah.
I've been smoke-free for 7 years now.
Same.
Yeah.
Maybe even longer.
Yeah, it'll be 8 years this year, I think, for me.
Mine's 2012.
Same. September of 2012.
Yeah.
So the 80s are awesome. And so, yeah, I just have this whole thing. And I know, like I said, I know a lot of it is nostalgia because I was only 7 years old at the end of the 80s.
I know, right? Well, I just turned 39, so I was born in 81. But there's something about it.
Yep.
You know, even the music. The music reminds me of riding in the car with my mom. It's almost like a little hug.
Yes.
You know?
You know what song? This is a weird one because it's not probably not a song that people associate with the 80s right off the bat. But I'll ask you this: what's the one song that just has like the most like memory attached to it for you, like 80s song? Like when you hear it, it can take you to like a certain day or a certain
Dancing in the Dark, Bruce
Springsteen.
Nice.
Yeah. Was what's her name? Courtney
Cox.
Courtney Cox. She was in that video, wasn't she?
She
Dancing?
was. Yeah.
She was like the love interest or whatever in the video.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, it's "Don't Worry, Be Happy" by Bobby McFerrin.
Yeah.
And the reason is, so we used to go to. My mom was a single mom for a short period before she met my stepdad, and we would go to my aunt's house, and during the summer, and they had a pool, but I think this was before the pool, like before they had the swimming pool, and she would just lay out in the sun and listen to music, like her and my aunt would.
Yeah.
And I had this kiddie pool, and I would just splash around. I was like 5 or 6 or 7, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I remember that song coming on, and I can remember almost vividly, and I remember it's already proven that human memory sucks, and you probably don't remember nearly as vividly as you think. But to me, it's like this very vivid day where I remember my mom and my aunt and the dog and all this stuff, and I just remember that song.
Yeah.
So for me, when that song comes on, it's makes me, and it's supposed to make you happy.
Right.
Literally, the words of the song are "Don't worry," and
Yeah.
Why is music attached? I know they've done some studies about that, but music is attached to memory in a way that, like Alzheimer's and dementia patients will remember things whenever you put certain songs on that they know.
Yep.
Like when you said that the name of that song, I was like, "Oh, Liberty Land," and I was like, "What the hell does that mean?"
Right? Yeah.
I can remember going to Liberty Land and I had one of those little soap figures that you would get out of the machine or whatever, like an animal that was made out of wax or whatever.
Oh, I remember those. I had an elephant like that.
Yeah.
Didn't they have all the the Zip and Pippin or something? Wasn't that there?
Something
the
like
name
that.
Of it?
I think so.
It was a wooden
wooden roller coaster.
'Cause
That's what
Liberty-
they were kind of famous for.
Liberty
Yeah.
Land was Memphis, right?
Yes.
Opryland.
Opryland was Nashville.
Yeah. And so I can remember because my grandmother lived in Memphis when I was younger, and so my mom took us to Liberty Land one time, and that was the one trip I can remember it blaring over the loudspeaker. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know, but that's the one out of all the 80s songs. It's not my favorite 80s song.
Same with mine, because mine reminds me of when I lived in Alabama, and we moved to Jackson when I was 4. So I clearly remember being in our old house in Birmingham and, relate that song to it. So
We talked about Birmingham on the last episode.
did you?
Yeah, so I have a buddy who lives.
Reoccurring theme.
I have a buddy that lives there, and he's a chef.
Yeah.
And I remember I was there for work, and I remember meeting up with him and his girlfriend at the time, and we went to. I was like, "Does Birmingham have cool But apparently they have this kind of college scene there.
Okay.
So there is this little cool hipster thing going on in their little downtown area.
Yeah.
And they have these cool bars and
Sure.
and restaurants and stuff. So
Yeah, it's called I think everywhere has a 5 points that's cool, but I think that's the name of it.
I think so.
there,
Yeah,
too.
I think so. So yeah, Birmingham, weird.
Yeah.
So you're from? Is that where you're from?
Yeah, but I mean, we moved when I was 4,
Sure.
so I kind of claim that more than I claim Jackson. But
Yeah. Jackson's I don't know. Jackson's kind of cool historically.
yeah,
Not necessarily it's not. I'm not one of those people that hates on the city I live in. I
Yeah,
used to be
no.
when I was younger, but you get older, you're whatever. It's just
Right.
just a place. But historically, we have a lot of cool shit going on.
right. Have you ever heard of Leadership Jackson?
Oh, that sounds really familiar to me.
So it's a businessy thing. and-
Okay.
Yeah, so
Is it through the chamber or something?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So
So,
I did
my
that.
old boss, she's part of the chamber
Yeah.
and all. Yeah. So yeah.
I did that in 2008, and you really learn a lot about the city. But it's cool about the Johnny Cash song "I'm Going to Jackson."
There's a debate about that too,
I know.
where people say, "Oh, it's Jackson, Mississippi."
Right.
I have somewhere on a 45 on a 7-inch record. It's a live version of that song,
Yeah.
and before he's doing a little banter before the song starts. The music starts up, and Johnny Cash says, "Hey, let's go on down there to Jackson," and he says something about we'll go see old Carl Perkins.
Right.
And I'm like, aha, confirmed. And I can't find I'll find that record and I'll prove it. But people are like, no, it's about Jackson, Mississippi. And I'm like, no, dude, he has such ties to Jackson,
Right.
Tennessee.
Well, I don't think he wrote it, because I feel like the person that wrote the song meant it for Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay.
And he
was
Johnny
like,
Cash is Jackson, Tennessee. So I think that's what's making it.
there it
like,
goes. See, I'm learning shit. I like this. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
So don't quote me on that, but I swear, just.
But I think when Johnny Cash sings it, he's talking about here because he has too many connections to here.
Right.
Like it doesn't make sense for it to not be. Not that he hasn't been to Jackson, Mississippi. I just think like his drummer is from here, right? W.S. Holland.
Oh yeah.
He's from Jackson, right?
Oliver.
Well, yeah, but I think he lives anyway. So yeah. You mentioned, the reason I was asking if the guy was an agent.
Oh, yes.
Because apparently there's a distinction now, like so digress again. Mark Normand, comedian, is going to be in Nashville in March, and I'm going to go see him.
Sure.
He's one of my favorite newer comedians. And I was like, I'm just going to take a shot here, and I sent an email to his management and was like, hey, I'd love to record a podcast with Mark Normand. It's probably never going to happen, but I was like, why not just see? But there was, on his page, there was like an agent and then his management. And I was like, what's the difference? So I'm like Googling, like, because I'm like, I don't want to send an email and they'd be like, we need to talk to this guy. So I sent the thing, and apparently the distinction is, I think it stems from California. I may be way wrong about this. I have no idea. This is very light research. One of them can't directly negotiate like contracts. I don't know if it's the manager or the agent. One of them can't directly.
I would assume that the agent is your contract negotiator and the manager is the one that manages you.
Maybe
your
that's
day-to-day
all. So,
stuff.
but apparently there's like the only reason that one of them hasn't gone away is because of that
legality.
Yeah. But anyway, so I sent it to his management and was like, hey, like, because I'm probably going to stay that night.
Yeah.
And I figured.
Do you need a hotel?
I think I do, yeah. Yeah, I was gonna. It's weird because like you're so gracious with that stuff, but I don't ever want to be that guy that's like, "Hey, hook me up" or whatever.
It's okay. Like if I ask you about
no,
it,
I know. I never want to be the guy that's like, I know people, you know.
You're right.
It sucks.
Yeah.
Like, especially if you don't talk to someone that much or something, and it's
and that happens a lot.
And it's like, hey.
Oh, yeah.
Person from 13 years ago hooked me up with a hotel, and you're like,
once a month at least.
So hotel. So what do you What do you do with hotels now? What's your like thing?
So I'm the director of sales and marketing.
Okay.
For the past year and a half, though, I was managing the digital marketing for about 30 hotels across the United States.
Nice.
But now I'm kind of in one hotel, back to the one that I opened that you stayed at, the Hay Street. So I'm back there.
So I want to tell a story.
Please tell the story.
It's not that bad, but it's still funny. So I was going for something. I think I was enrolling back into.
I remember the GM had the hots for you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Right on. Hey. Hot. So I can't remember what I had to do that. I had to be up super early and in Nashville super early. That's what it was. I don't remember what it's for now.
You were doing something though.
I can't remember. Anyway, I was like, well, it would suck to get up. Like,
was it work related?
It was. I was going back to school. I was enrolling in an online thing, and they were like, "You got to come and do this orientation," and it's in Nashville for whatever reason, because it was for Bethel.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, okay. But anyway, I didn't want to get up stupid early and then drive all the way to Nashville. So I was like, if I drive up the night before, I can stay and I'll just get up and go. So that's what it was. Mm-hmm. But when I get to the super nice hotel, it's a great hotel, and I get in there and I unpack my stuff, and then I go into the bathroom. And there is a huge turd in the toilet. Oh, nice. I mean, like aggressive. I was like, whoa. But the room wasn't dirt. Like, it wasn't like I stumbled into the wrong room and it's someone else's.
Right.
I was like, everything was clean except for the giant turd in the toilet.
Oh, boy.
And I was like, oh, my God. So I'm like, oh. You know, and I give her the old flusheroo. Completely clogs the toilet.
Oh boy!
To the point where
now
it's like,
it looks like it's your turn to clog the toilet,
and to the point where
I'm sure they believed you.
To the point where it's like I cannot manage it myself, so I have to call. And I'm like, here we go. I'm like, yeah, the toilet stopped up there. They're like, we'll send someone right up, and the guy comes in. He's super nice. He goes in there, and it is
a war zone,
a literal shit show. And I'm like, I'm a confident guy. I'm pretty secure. Like, I don't care. Like, people take shits, whatever.
Everybody poops.
But I was like, that was not me. And I was like, that was here when I got
You should have just owned it, bro.
And he was like,
Sure.
He was just like, oh yeah. And I was like, I mean, how do you? I was like, all right, man, fuck, that was me. But immediately I was like, oh well, this is how this thing starts out. And then in my mind, they're gonna be like, your friend came and took a huge shit in here, Kim. And,
now that you say something.
But I was like, wow, I was impressed. I was like, it was aggressive.
Yeah, as soon as you call for help, you have to just in that moment determine, if I say that's not my shit, someone's going to think I'm lying.
Well, I knew that.
So I just have to own that shit now.
But it was a real testament to like that moment, because in the moment I was like, I'm not even going to try to explain this. But when he was there, I was like, I got to explain it. Like, this wasn't me, man. And he was like, oh man, yeah.
Oh, I know. It had to be this one guy that he's worked there forever. I cannot wait to ask him about
You should,
it.
yeah.
I'm going to.
Yeah, Anyway, I don't know if I was that memorable or not, but it was an aggressive situation. So, still a great hotel, by the way. I don't know. Like, I feel like maybe I don't know. I don't want to speculate on what happened with that toilet, but anyway.
It's the hotel I might have stayed at had I gotten those tickets the other day to that stupid Rogan Chappelle show.
Dude,
Don't even get me started.
We've already like hatched a plan.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
Well, I had a plan. It was to just buy tickets.
Actually, you can help me with the ladder.
Yes.
See?
Yeah. All right.
So I actually got this was not my full idea, although I have been a fan. Like, I've been someone who knew that if you did something confidently enough,
right,
that most people will just think you're supposed to be there.
Oh, we're just gonna hold the ladder and walk in that.
Oh, well,
joint.
there's a guy that did YouTube videos where he just showed up to random places with ladders. And it got ridiculous to the point where you're like, no one should have ever, like, into a movie theater. Yeah. He took it into the actual theater and watched a movie, and the ladder was just there with him. And like, it was just like, what?
Yeah.
But he was like, I got a whole thing here, and they're like, oh yeah, come on, go through, and you're like, what?
Have you ever seen the deal where they take somebody into a restaurant and then they like say, hey, can I have this table? And there are people like, fuck off, it's my table. And then somebody in a uniform comes in and they're like, oh, like a cop, not, oh, cool, all right, I'll move. and then they'll do like a firefighter, oh yeah, I'll move. Yep. And then all the way down to like a janitor's outfit, like a jumpsuit, and like, oh yeah, I'll move. Yeah. It's like something about
something official, yeah.
Yes.
So we should all dress as the YMCA.
So the plan is we all wear like what do you call them? Coveralls, or onesie. Yeah. Well, not a onesie. No, I'm wearing a onesie.
I've got a Deadpool onesie. I'm definitely wearing that.
But no, we all wear we wear the coveralls. Have a name tag.
Yeah,
not our real names.
No.
Like, I'll be Steve or something. Whatever.
Yeah. I'll be Dave. Steve
Dave.
Yeah.
And then we walk in with a ladder, and we're like, "Look, the main line pump third time this week, guys. So, am I right?" Yeah. And then we get into the Rogan Chappelle.
Yeah, I want to go ahead and just tell my terrible story about Ticketmaster, and I hate those people now.
Yeah.
So I literally had to go through like James Bond shit just to get in the pre-sale for the tickets for the Rogan Chappelle show.
Do you know about this thing they're doing, Kim? So apparently, that's for you. Apparently, there's a lot of bots people use to like just buy up tickets, right? And then they resell them at a much higher price.
Back through Ticketmaster.
Yeah. So this whole thing was like a vetting process almost. Like you had to sign up, and then you had to wait in a queue, and then it was like
they announced it on like Sunday or Monday. Mm-hmm. I signed up Monday night or Tuesday night. I just followed the link on Rogan's website because when they do these things, they sell out immediately because it's two of the biggest national comedians in the country right now. And so especially Chappelle, he's a giant show. And so I was like, and I had talked to several of my friends and said, hey, if I can get tickets to this, anybody willing to go? Yeah, we're all willing to pay this amount of money or whatever. I was like, well, it could be more than that, guys. You never know. Even nosebleeds might be expensive to the show. I went through the whole process, followed the deal, made sure I was a human being instead of a robot, that sort of thing.
Pick all the pictures with cars.
Yeah, it's weird, dude, because they literally sent me an email and 2 separate text messages, and all 3 of them had an individual piece of information that I had to put together. It's like a puzzle, just to even get in line for tickets. And then they won't even tell you how much the tickets are before you get there, right? So I went and got my check on Friday, made sure, no, it was on Thursday, because they went on sale at 11 o'clock. Thursday morning here at our time. Yeah. And I literally went to the bank and was in the bank parking lot because I didn't want to be driving while I was trying to buy tickets. What? So I'm buying I'm in line 10 minutes early like Ticketmaster tells me to be, and in line means virtual line. There were 3,000 people in line in front of me.
I knew it was going to be aggressive.
It's 2,800 people in line in front of me.
Rogan and Chappelle, man.
It's gigantic.
I mean, it's a huge show.
To Ticketmaster's testament, these are only people that are real people and supposedly fans of Rogan and Chappelle. You can only buy 4 tickets at a time per person. Then you have to get back in the line. You can buy more than 4, but you have to buy them 4 at a time.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So I put my credit card information in prior to this, an hour prior, all that stuff that they tell me to do in the email that they sent. And then I go, and it only takes 8 minutes from 11 o'clock to 11:08 for 3,000 people to get their tickets.
Because they're just processing it through, yeah.
Yeah, giant, fast processing. I was like, this is impressive. Because it was updating. I literally have screenshots of where it was updating every 30 to 40 seconds, and that number would dwindle, right? It's like 2,800, 2,400, 2,100. I was like, what is going on here? And so it's my turn. I'm like, oh. And so I was checking prices. The most expensive ticket was $350, front row.
That's pretty impressive, yeah.
That's cheap, as far as I was
All
concerned.
things considered, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not paying that, but it's cheap.
No.
I'm just going to go find the nosebleed tickets and see how much they are real quick, because it's at Bridgestone Arena. Not really a bad seat in the house, because it's comedy in the round. They're literally going to put the stage in the center.
Like it's a hockey game or
like
something.
it's a hockey game, and sit 20,000 people around them, right? It's going to be awesome. $59.50 per ticket before fees. And I was like, well, that's really affordable.
That's crazy.
Really, really affordable. And I was like, all right, I want 4 immediately. And so I got 4 and put them in my cart and went to check out and picked regular shipping, all that stuff, whatever. It was going to cost me $292 after all the fees and everything. 4 tickets. It asked me for the CVV on the back of my credit card.
I hate a CVV, too.
I went to push it on my touchscreen phone, like everyone in the world has, and it would not let me bring a keyboard up to put those 3 numbers in.
Dude.
No.
And so I backed up, went and picked 4 different tickets that were the same price, and went back to the checkout, and it would not let me do it again. The story gets even worse. I called my buddy Tanner, who was on the last podcast, and I said, hey, bitch, buy me some tickets. Go find a computer, a real one, and fucking buy me some tickets. He was like, okay. So being the good friend he is, he took all that abuse and went and tried to buy me tickets. It told him to go back to the original device that I was on before to buy the tickets.
Oh, it was like you can't trick the system. Yeah.
And so I literally could not buy the tickets. So then I had 3 people text me the next day at 11 o'clock whenever they went on sale to the general public. The price of those tickets are now on Ticketmaster, $670 a piece.
That's what I did. I looked at them and I was like, because it always starts you with like the lowest tier.
Sure.
It was like $675. I was like, that has to be like,
right.
what? And
that's a VIP experience, guys.
And it was, and I mean, they weren't terrible seats, but they definitely weren't the best. And I was like, wow, I was like, the cheapest ticket left is who the fuck can pay $675?
I wish they would go back to like the old days where they would mail them, the tickets to like the record stores or whatnot. And you'd have to go wait in line, and like you would have.
You would know who the real fans are at that point.
Who was it in Jackson? Cats Music maybe did that a lot?
Cats did it.
And there was somewhere else.
What was that place over there by Rafferty's?
That's
Free Will and Frank's.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was later.
It was also Cats
it was
Music.
Cats.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then Free Will and Frank's
Because
later.
I bought my
I feel like they would sell tickets. I don't know.
I bought my
can't remember.
first CD from Cats Music.
Yeah, I remember going in there a few times. That was back when it was still like Camelot in the mall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then it was like FYE or something after that. But yeah, that's crazy. Like just in that short amount of time, it was like tickets that were $75 the day before were $675,
and that's $675 before fees.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
No, that's ridiculous.
Why did they do that?
Well, they didn't. Those are only tickets that are for sale
from resellers.
From resellers through Ticketmaster. And I had somebody yesterday just go, well, why didn't they just not allow them to resell them? And I was like, well, because they're their tickets. They're allowed to do whatever they want. And so I was like, they were like, well, why don't they just not allow them to resell through their site? And I was like, because they're losing money at that point, because they're going to go resell them on some secondary sale market, right? Yeah. StubHub or whatever it may be. So why would Ticketmaster turn away that business?
Do you still have the old school dudes outside scalping?
They were at Memphis in May the last time I went, but that was several years
That's pretty old school.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still a thing or not.
And it's never failed me, a show that I couldn't get tickets to, if it's like in Nashville, to look on Craigslist the day of, somebody got sick.
Well, you even see it on Facebook sometimes where it'll be like, hey guys, I got 2 tickets to this thing and wherever. And I'll sell them for $20 a piece or something.
Yeah, that's never failed me. So there's still that option. But.
Right on.
Yeah, I can't test it because I would need to get a hotel reservation and all of that because it's an 8:00 show. I'm not driving home after at 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, because he's going to have that. Chappelle brings a crew with him. He doesn't. Course. It's not just going to be Rogan and Chappelle.
Oh no,
there's
there'll
going to
be
be 5
openers.
comedians and stuff.
There'll be openers.
So it's going to be a show. And
You
I
go
would
pick out your ladder.
Yeah, for sure.
So have you been to Zanies there in Nashville?
Oh yeah.
So is it a cool club? Is it a?
Oh, it's great. I love Zanies.
Yeah, they get a lot of pretty
Yeah,
big acts coming through there.
A lot of the mainstream comedians talk really, really well about Zanies.
Yeah.
I know listening to Mark Norman's podcast, like when he talks about certain places, he'll be like, I gotta go to this thing. And then he's like, I'm going to Nashville, and he's excited about it. So I was like,
They stay at my hotel.
nice.
So
Back to
We need that ladder, bro.
So
just come on, walk up to their room,
not
sir.
Bridgestone, but
Oh no, but no. So with the Mark Norman thing, I sent the email. I mean, I don't know if I'll even hear anything back, but I was like, if he'll sit down and record a podcast, like we just go to the meet up in the room, do it, because he's doing a Friday and a Saturday show. So if he can do it like that Saturday afternoon, I don't know. I don't know. But I think that'd be cool. So
Yeah.
I sent the email, and we'll see what happens. He'll be like, "What's your podcast about?" I'm like, "I don't know." Like I still don't even know what it is yet, So cool. But yeah, anyway, you have a really great story about the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile.
I do. I'm famous.
Yes. And if you'd like to share.
Well, I think most people know about it at this point, and you're probably going to see my face turn red. But so one day I was actually selling in sales at Bumpus, Harley Davidson, and it was kind of a slow day. And this kid walks in. It was a younger kid, and he had this little plush hot dog toy. And I'm like, oh, that's cute. I think my dog would enjoy that. Where'd you get it? And he was like, oh, you can go online and they give it to you free. Great. So I went and got on the computer. And then as I see where these little plush things are, I also see win the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile for a day. And I'm like, I'm going to try this. So you had to write in like 500 words or less what you were going to do with it. And, I put something in and went about my day. And I guess about 6 months later, I was working another job at this point, and I was living with my parents. And I come in, and my mom's like, Kim, you got some affidavit from Kraft. And I'm like, what? And so I pull it out, and it's like, you've won $5,000 in the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile for the day. And I'm like,
It's badass, by the way.
That is badass.
oh my God. But like now, oh my God, what am I going to do with this? So I was like 24 at the time. So I had to plan this whole day. And I ended up giving like 99% of the money to this girl that needed a double lung transplant to help her. And then I took like $600 and went to West Wind. That was like the super fancy clothing place that I couldn't afford, and got some jeans, $200 jeans. And so then my best friend, Betsy, we had been best friends since we were like 4. I made her, I was like, I cannot bear this alone. Come with me. So 6 o'clock that morning, this big ass hot dog pulls down my street. And
God,
I'm
this
like,
is amazing.
We're in it. So these hot doggers, they're like, super excited and have way too much energy and energetic. And so they get out and they're like, come on, where would you like to go? And so we're like, okay, this is Jackson, where are we going to go? So we took it to the Old Country Store. And we had breakfast there. And then we pretty much spent the day just going to random spots in Jackson. But like the craziest thing about it, I will never forget this. Okay, so we would pass out weenie whistles at every stop. And like people would come up like they've been waiting all of their life for this moment. And this one guy, he was like, I've been waiting all my life for this. In a very like
serious
he
manner.
might kill us
twist.
later.
That was me. No, it wasn't.
That's how you guys met.
But like the extra, okay, so there's 2 really cringy parts to the story. So word got out that I was going to win this Wienermobile. And I think it was 92.3 wanted to interview me about it. So I'm like, yeah, so cool. They were the cool station
Probably
at the time.
Power 92.
Power 92, I think, yeah. And I don't remember much, but I do remember this. They asked me at the end, so Kim, is there anything else that you would like to say? And I was so proud of myself for what I'd said next. And I said, yeah, guys, watch out. I'm going to have the biggest wiener in town.
On the radio.
On the radio. And I thought I was so funny. And like, seriously, I'm surprised I'm not turning like 10 shades of red. But I love telling the story. Now, wait. It gets even better.
But there's more.
Oh, there's more. This is the next day, the Jackson Sun puts me in the paper.
Oh, boy.
So it's a picture of me and the large Wienermobile behind me. The headline, helping others on a wiener and a prayer.
Oh, my God.
It's my favorite tagline ever. It is my favorite.
A wiener and a prayer.
To the point where I've been trying to say it in my... I'm not kidding. I've been saying it in my... I'm surprised I haven't said it to you yet. But at work, somebody was like, man, how's it going? I was like, hey, man, just getting by one day at a time on a wiener and a prayer, you know?
On a wiener
and
a
they're
prayer.
like, what?
It is going to be the title of my book one day.
Oh, my God. A wiener and a prayer.
Yeah, my brother...
It's a different thing coming from a female than a male, though.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's like...
No, yeah, it is. It's hilarious.
I mean, not weird. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with a lady liking a wiener.
Right.
Yeah.
So my brother threatens to put it on my tombstone when I pass.
That would be the best. Oh, my God. If it doesn't happen, if you don't take that, I'm taking it.
Best tombstone story ever for me, real quick. I treat yards for a living. I spray weeds. It's pretty much useless, let's be honest. But I, for some reason, was spraying a cemetery one time. I don't get it. But I don't know. There was a juggalo headstone.
Oh, wow.
Not even joking.
Say
Like
more.
ICP?
Yeah.
Oh.
It had the Hatchet Man on it, and there were Faygo bottles next to the
Is
headstone.
there photographic evidence of this?
I'm almost certain I took pictures, but I don't know where they would be at this point.
Do you remember where this is?
I know exactly.
Okay.
I could take you.
I mean, we
there.
don't have to talk about it. We'll just go see it sometime.
We're gonna go see it.
Oh, my God.
Matter of fact, we can go see it anytime you want, and we definitely need to take pictures of
That's dedicated. That's dedication.
Absolutely.
They're like...
Serious dedication.
to the next life,
He
bro.
loved Faygo. There's I don't know where this is at, and I don't even know if it's real. Surely it is. It's like a park somewhere. I don't know where. But on the park bench, it's like in memoriam type thing. And it's like dedicated to, Bill Stevens, who hated this park and everyone in it. And I'm like, it's my favorite thing ever. I'm like, some old crotchety bastard used to hang out on this bench.
Right.
And they're like, I don't remember the name, but yeah, that's like a thing. Man, I don't know. If you don't use that on your head, on like, well, maybe we can just both use it. I don't know.
Yeah.
You can borrow it. You can have it.
Mine would need to be on my urn. I don't want to be buried.
Here lies Justin McCaskill, who lived his life one wiener at a time. He would like,
What? Was he gay?
Was McCaskill gay?
I don't remember him being gay. But all right.
I love that so much. I
think that we should get a T-shirt made just with the
Wienermobile.
Can it be
Wiener and a
slogan.
Can it be
do you not have the article still?
Oh, I have it.
Well, then we should definitely you can make it into a shirt, right?
Well, yes, we could.
I don't know why we wouldn't do that.
But it's become like it's actually helped me throughout my life, like getting to know people, because I use that as an icebreaker. Because like, how many people do you know
that got the wiener for a day?
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can.
She also shot me over. There's also Planters Peanuts has the Nutmobile.
Oh my God.
It does. And
what? Yeah. You have to know that the marketing director knew exactly what they were doing there,
So-
and they just didn't care, right?
Right.
here's the thing about it: it looks awesome. Like it looks way more gangster than the Wiener. And the Wienermobile's badass.
Pretty badass.
I'm not saying it's not, but the Nutmobile is like, yeah, it's so. Like,
Can't even.
it kind of has this like, get it together, man. It kind of has this VW bus thing going on with it. It's really cool. Like I was like, I would drive the shit out of that.
Yeah.
And she was like, what? She was basically saying, like,
literally would drive the shit out of the Nutmobile.
yeah. So
yeah.
she was basically saying, like, what if I could drive that? Then I would have both. And what was the deal? They were saying, like, is there a
But
contest?
they're looking for drivers.
Oh, boy.
And I said,
Sign me up.
I've found our next opportunity.
She had and like I was trying to think of a tag, like some kind of double entendre or tagline for her. Like she's been in the Wienermobile, and then she hits me back with, hold on, I don't want to mess this up.
Well, we were trying to do like, he said we should send in a mock resume, and I'm like, yes, we should. And so you have to.
I'm trying to find it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got to find this because it was too good.
Oh my god,
It was the best.
Oh man,
wieners and nuts.
So did you see though? While I'm looking for this, where Mr. Peanut died?
What?
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
And they had like the Super Bowl or something like that.
Yeah, but
commercial.
Apparently he was with Wesley Snipes and somebody else
What?
or something. There's a whole video
Yeah. I missed the first half of the
where
Super Bowl. So
they crashed the Nutmobile, and he died. He falls. To save everyone. He the weight distribution is off, and they're on this like cliff or something, and he sacrifices himself to save. And I'm not kidding when I say it's like Wesley Snipes and some random.
Was it on Pornhub?
No, but they should have had him crash into the Wienermobile.
No, it's an actual. This is Planner's Peanuts.
Nutmobile,
man.
bro. I'm just saying.
It's Planner's Peanuts, dude.
Goodness.
Nutmobile.
And I was like, why?
Wienermobile.
Oh my
That's how it
goodness
should-
gracious.
Where? Oh, nope, just found it. So here's what the Nutmobile looks like. It's dope as hell. Yeah. Oh my god. Hold on.
Oh jeez. All right. These motherfuckers made a Nutmobile. I can't even. What's
What a
next?
time to be alive.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely every animal shelter should have a
we
pussy
were like,
mobile.
so exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a bitch mobile. I don't know. Is that like dog? I don't know. That's too much. So
Yeah, pussy mobiles.
well, I mean, that's like, Anyway, so we're like, we need to come up with these mock resumes to win the driving position for the Nutmobile. And she said, have experience with wieners, and I feel wieners and nuts go hand in hand.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Go hand in
Thank you.
hand.
Thank
That's
you.
brilliant.
I wish I had a badoonch
Yes.
thing. And I was like, damn it. And I was sitting there trying to think of something, and I was like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah, she wins. Congrats. On
She
your
brought
win.
up the way that Mr. Peanut should have died, and
Yeah.
that was the best.
Was the Wienermobile and the Nutmobile collide?
Yeah.
And that's how he died.
Wieners and
I'm not
nuts.
kidding about it. You need to look up this whole. It was so bizarre because I was.
Are they owned by the same company?
I don't think so.
No, but
Oscar
they're-
Mayer. I don't know. Well, I don't know who the parent company is or whatever. So
Corporate America's weird, bro.
it is. But
Because you never know who owns who at this point, right? You're like, I hate that restaurant,
Yeah,
but I
'cause-
love that one. But they're owned by the same
Yeah.
people.
Right.
It's
because
weird.
PepsiCo is like huge. I know that, and they own not just like the Pepsi brand, but like
Yeah.
tons
Same with
of them.
like Nestle.
Yeah.
They own everything.
Nestle is the one buying up all the water, isn't it?
Yeah, they're the main ones, and like people want to boycott them, but you like nearly can't exist by.
Yeah, it's
not.
weird when you're like, I'm boycotting this. I'm like, well,
No,
you're
you're-
breathing, aren't you? You're
Yeah.
like, what? They own air? You're like, yeah. Nestle owns air. You're like,
They say
"Oh."
that's going to be the next big, like, demand thing. Like, not oil. It's going to move away from oil to water. Like, whoever controls the water is the super bajillion trillionaires at that point.
It's gonna be Nestle. It's gonna be even worse.
They got to come up with that thing from Waterworld where he peed in the thing and it like filters it. You know what I'm talking about?
They already have those.
What?
Yeah. You haven't seen the straws?
No, you just drink pee out of a straw?
Oh wait, yeah.
Yeah, they're like
You
filter.
guys are like, yeah, like it's a commonplace here.
It's a filter straw, and you literally can put it in any form of liquid, basically,
Jesus.
and drink it, and it will filter it, including your own piss.
It's one of those survival type
yeah.
movie
And-
things.
Well, it's not even that the kid developed it. He was from like a third world country, I think.
Okay, yeah.
And he developed it so that like he could like shower the people from his homeland with these things so they could have fresh drinking water. And you can drink so many gallons through the straw. You can like literally plop it into a
Wouldn't you
mud
hate for that to
puddle.
run out
Oh, yeah.
midway? Oh, okay. No, we're done. Yeah,
Yeah.
gross.
Yeah.
Bear Grylls would love that.
I don't like bear.
I don't know. Maybe
Not a fan.
he likes to. Well, I'm not saying he's good at whatever. I'm just saying I like the other guy, Les Stroud.
Yeah, Les Stroud's way cooler.
That dude's
let's be
awesome
honest.
because he used to do that by himself. You know what I'm talking about? Man versus Wild.
No.
So there was,
I mean, I've heard
there
of
was
him,
Bear
but-
Grylls who was
Yeah.
was he Man versus Wild,
Yes.
and then there was Les Stroud who was
Survivor Man.
Survivor Man, and so the difference was, the one dude
Bear Grylls.
he had like a whole crew with him.
Yes, you could tell because he's like talking to the camera, and then they're following him around as he's jumping.
Yep.
Whereas Les Stroud would literally pack in his own cameras, and he would have like long shots to where he's like walking across this place. But it's because he walked across the place, set up a camera, walked back, and then walked across the place again to get the shot.
The most
and he had
intense
to carry
one-
all of his own.
No, but the
batteries
craziest part
and
was not
everything.
just the walking. He did one where he was like scaling a cliff face. So he literally set it down and scaled it, and then had to come back down to get his camera and then do it again.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
like just to
It's
get
the
shot.
most redundant Survivor
Gosh.
show ever, but it's the only one where there wasn't a crew to like back him up. He
And
had a
even-
sat phone.
He even
but that was
well,
it.
he never carried any weapons. Like he had a knife or something sometimes as a tool.
Mm-hmm.
But the only time that they were like, it wasn't even an option, was when he was in the
Arctic.
in the Arctic, because they were like, if a polar bear comes after you,
You're dead.
you're gonna die.
Right.
And he was like, cool. And they were like, you have to carry this gun.
And he's like, I'll take one bullet. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. He's a ridiculous human. And now apparently he just hunts Bigfoot. So,
But
There's
he
that.
Jesus.
has had his own pee. He had to drink it.
Bear Grylls drinks it all the time.
Yeah, Bear
Okay.
Grylls.
I think
is
he's like enjoys it.
yeah, he's a fucking weirdo. Let's be honest.
I think there's like some weird thing though. There was like this, there's always these health trends, and at some point it was like you should drink some of your own pee.
Lyoto Machida, MMA fighter, light heavyweight. He used to drink his own pee all the time. Apparently,
I'm not doing that. I mean, I'm just not doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Joe Rogan, I think, experimented a little.
Yeah, I don't. Joe Rogan's a weirdo. I
He
love
is.
him to death, but he's a weirdo.
But yeah, I'm not drinking my own pee. I don't care.
No. Did you hear what Tyson Fury is doing to get ready for the boxing match?
Is it drinking his own pee?
Nope. Jerking off 7 times a day,
Oh wow,
aggressively.
wow.
Because apparently,
Why?
the more you do that, the higher your natural testosterone.
Oh, I
is.
gotcha.
So he's just jerking it all the time. That seems like a punishment to me.
Yeah, I don't.
7 times is too many, bro. Mm-hmm. In any one day,
weird.
especially every day.
Because it used to. I think they used to. The thought was like they didn't like.
Well,
Do any,
it
like,
reduces
sexual-
your sperm count, but it increases your testosterone and the virility of the sperm that do come out.
Well, you know, but the thing used to be like if fighters had something come up, they didn't
Yeah.
they didn't partake in any sexual activities or anything like that.
Yeah,
So maybe
a lot.
They just didn't
Tyson
understand it.
said he didn't subscribe to that. He was like, it's just a distraction if you're just withholding.
Yeah,
So how long is his training for this?
6 weeks, 8 weeks.
dude,
Oh man.
is he okay?
Right.
Yeah,
Is
the
anybody
fight.
checking
The
on
fights.
him?
The fight happens next Saturday or whatever.
Okay.
Well, when this podcast come out, probably last Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago, February 22nd, the fight happens.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of what, I was going to bring this up, but I didn't because we don't know what days these are coming out. But Valentine's Day was just recently, and somebody at work said Valentine's
Oh,
Day.
yeah.
I said it as a joke, and I thought my girlfriend was going to punch me in the throat.
Valentine's, and I rank those people right up there with Library.
Library.
Or people that say like grown ass man.
I say grown ass kid all the time. I'm a grown ass kid. I do what I want.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm not
Sometimes
a
I
real
do this thing. I don't say grown ass man, but sometimes I do this thing where I'll make fun of
Oh, boy.
something, and then it becomes part of my lexicon on accident.
Okay.
man. That is
Like-
my lexicon now.
Like fam, I fucking say that,
Right.
and I'm like, damn it.
yeah.
Right.
I hate it.
I hear grown ass man and I immediately think credit score under 600.
I do have that.
Yes. So I'm sorry.
Oh. But yeah, I'll do that where I'll be like, "What up, fam?" And I'm like, I'm just
Right.
like it's ironic to me.
Get lit.
But yeah, and then I actually end up saying it, and I'm like, "Shit."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do it constantly.
I've
It's
become
really
the
annoying.
thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I once hated. Yeah.
Yes.
I adopt the terrible thing that I made fun of. Yeah.
Oh, you mentioned. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No.
So you mentioned earlier that the we were talking about the agent
Yes.
of Anthony Michael Hall, that he
Or manager.
manager,
Not quite
whatever.
sure.
Yeah, one of the two. Manager, maybe. Anyway, that he kind of facilitates the
Con type stuff.
like the
Yeah.
convention
Yeah.
appearances and things.
Sure.
So did you've done some work with conventions?
Mm-hmm.
Is it strictly volunteer stuff you've done, or
Yeah, so I'm just doing volunteer stuff and then helping with digital marketing.
Mm-hmm.
But like I was physically at the con working as well because I mean it's a
Yeah.
lot of fun. It's
They
a way
are.
to like get in there and
because you would send me pictures of like cosplayers and stuff that would be coming through dressed
Yes.
up like, and it's fun to me. To me, those cons are fun because some of the people are like all in, and then some of it's like half-assed, you know,
Right.
And you don't know how serious the person thinks they're being.
Yeah.
So because sometimes you see a costume and you're like, that is awful, but you're like, does that person think it's awesome?
right.
Because I would love to like go in on this, but I don't want to hurt their feelings if it's like legitimately like they think they're awesome. But then
so-
you see some that are like amazing, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
some are ironic. Like there
Shit,
was a
yeah.
guy that was dressed like He-Man and like, you know, had the yellow like wig
Mm-hmm.
and then the little what do they call that? The little
Like loincloth or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he was clearly shouldn't have been wearing
Yeah.
that. But everybody was taking pictures. I mean, it was
I feel like almost no
hilarious.
one should ever be wearing that. Like that's like 2 people ever
Right.
could wear that.
Yeah, unless you
Cartoon
have my
characters.
body. If you have my body, it's okay. If you have like a really nice body, don't do it, bro.
yeah.
Don't
Yeah,
do
now
it.
you're just flexing on us all.
Yeah.
But then, like, people capitalize off of it too. There's a guy that he's almost become famous in his own right because he's got a full stormtrooper costume, but it's red, and he wears like the old school like Run DMC, type necklaces, and has
the
the
dookie
boom
rope chains.
Yeah, and the boom box. So he's like I forgot his like actual name, and
That's badass.
like the
though.
rapping,
Yeah,
stormtrooper.
That's badass though.
It's really, and
It would only be
really
cooler if he
good.
threw down some cardboard and like
Right.
did some breakdancing.
Yeah.
Could you
That would
imagine
be-
that clack, 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 clack?
But
in
the
armor?
people that do the Star Wars cosplay stuff, especially the Stormtrooper ones,
Yeah.
they like a lot of them make their own armor.
Yep.
Like they use was it fiberglass and like mold fiberglass and
It's
stuff.
serious.
It's crazy. Like and they're really good at it. So to some point, people are like, "Oh, nerd alert!" But I'm like, "Yeah, but they're really dedicated to their craft here." And like, I think that's impressive. So
Star Wars people are the most
Oh, yeah.
dedicated.
I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but not like.
Not like that.
I'm not. No,
Yeah.
like I haven't seen the new movie because I know I won't. I just don't think I'll like it because I haven't liked the newer trilogy that much.
Right.
But I don't shit on them. Like, if you like them, like they're fine. Like whatever.
Right.
But I don't do the thing where I'm like, ooh. Only with my closest friends will talk shit about
Yeah.
them. But I don't. Yeah, I don't care. Whatever.
Right.
Like it's the prequels I hate personally because I was like 17 when they came out because I always did the thing where I was like Jar Jar Binks is lame and all that.
Yeah.
But had I been like 7 years old when they came out, I would have loved it. So
Right.
it's like, I get it.
It's all nostalgia at the end of the day. Because let's be honest, and I'm going to upset a lot of people here. The original Star Wars was dope, but overrated if you were older at the time, probably.
Yeah, I think, well, no, I don't know. I think
A
for
lot
the
of people
time,
look back on it more fondly.
well, I think for the time, though, like
Oh, yeah.
effects-wise, it was
Oh, no.
top of
Yeah,
the line.
yeah.
Baker's
it
a
was
monster.
top of
Let's
the
be
line
honest. Richard
effects
Baker's a genius, right?
But no, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of like, that's a nostalgia thing that's
Yeah.
attached to it,
Yeah,
for sure.
If you go back and watch them and you've never seen them, right? Or I guess if you go and watch them and you've never seen them, most of the people you would do that, and they're like not nerdy type people or whatever, because if you're a nerd, you've probably already seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just everybody's like, what the hell are we watching here? What is going on? I don't get it. And so they're brilliantly written in certain ways, and the stories are compelling. But it's cheesy still,
Sure.
right? It just is
There are
what
parts,
it
yeah.
is.
I would agree with that.
I don't know. I watched the first one for the first time this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
A New Hope.
Yeah. And
Well, New Hope and Strikes Back are the best of all of the movies, let's be honest.
right. But I was really impressed.
Empire by far.
Yeah, yeah.
Then A New Hope.
yeah.
But see, so for example, when I was a kid, I liked the Ewoks, which are
Me too.
Dude, I
are
love
like
Ewoks, and it's one of my
well,
guilty
but
pleasures.
they're like pretty widely considered the cheesiest part of
Yeah,
like
worst
people
part
say like,
of
oh,
it,
that
yeah.
ruined the movie. I love that shit because I was 6 years old or
I used to
whatever.
rent those Ewok movies that were awful all the
Ooh,
time.
those are bad.
Do you remember those toys? It was like, it's not a sticker, but it was on this like clear plastic thing and it looked like a sticker.
Yeah,
then you would
clings.
have to take this little wooden pencil thing and trace over it, and then the picture would attach to whatever you.
Yeah, what was that? What was that called?
know.
I do remember those.
Yeah, we'll see. I had.
It's weird though. It's like so vague that I'm like, did I have those? I don't know.
You had those.
Yeah, I did.
Because I decorated my grandmother's spare room in Ewoks.
Nice.
Yes.
That's
So-
awesome. Because and to that point, like the first movie came out in 1977.
Right.
And the last one came out in 1983. So I was only a year old when Jedi came out. So I didn't see it and remember seeing it anyway until I was 5, 6, 7, whatever it was. And yeah, I love that shit. That's why I'm saying like I would have loved Jar Jar Binks, I'm sure, when I was if I was a kid. but I
My
don't
point
know.
is, if you released the original trilogy now, it would get not as much heat, but almost as much heat as the new ones are getting. And it's the only reason the new ones are getting as much heat is because they're shitting all over the old
I don't
ones.
I think
they're stepping on the toes.
I
of
do
the
think
old
the
ones.
stories in the first original movie, two especially, are
Brilliant.
are objectively better than
Yes.
and I know you can't say that because it's not. It is it's an opinion.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a strong case to be made that the story from A New Hope and Empire are.
I like the original trilogy better than any of the other movies. So
But
don't
you're
get
probably
me
not wrong. Yeah, I mean you're probably not wrong.
I just think that people are too high on them because of what it is. It's
Sure.
such a large thing for everyone. And so if you're in that universe, then if you say that out loud, you might get mauled at a con.
Sure,
right?
of course.
Like, oh, they're overrated a little bit. And so it's like, oh, what is he
I like
talking
to like
about?
troll the people though when they're like Star Wars. I'm like, man, I love Next Generation most.
Yeah. Set phasers to stun.
Yeah.
He just turned into like Elvis there for a second.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. I don't know what I was going for.
Bubba Hotep.
So I love going to conventions.
Yeah.
And I've been to different ones, comic conventions. I've been to tattoo conventions. I've been to horror.
Yeah.
Even one of them is a horror and tattoo convention, which I have a cool story about. I think I've told you the story.
That's my favorite story.
But and then we go to Gen Con. I haven't been in a couple of years, but a group of us would go to Gen Con, which is in Indianapolis, and it's like it's the biggest gaming convention as far as tabletop gaming.
Yeah.
So like uber nerdy, like Dungeons and Dragons.
It only gets
nice.
bigger at Comic-Con in San Diego.
Like board games and Dungeons and Dragons and
it's
shit.
the whole Lucas Stadium and several other buildings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. That's how big that con is.
Yeah,
Like,
it's real big.
it's a football stadium.
Well,
Plus a
the
bunch of
Indianapolis
buildings.
Convention Center is the main,
Yeah.
and then they do stuff in the stadium.
That's
as well.
crazy.
They did like millions of dollars in renovations to the convention center just for Gen Con, which is
Oh, wow.
one weekend. Like that's how much money it brings into the city of Indianapolis.
That's
They were like, yeah,
amazing.
we'll drop a few million on this. So I love going to them. I think they're really fun. It's cool to know that, and there's literally conventions for everything. Like,
Yes.
some people think that maybe it's just like a nerdy thing. Like, no, there's like probably knitting conventions or like, I don't know. There's a convention for everything.
Yeah.
And so I went to, it's called, I think they still have it, the Full Moon Fest.
I think it's actually it wasn't last year.
They're bringing it back maybe?
I think it's coming in, what is it, March or April? It's like
it's
next.
soon.
Yeah.
So Full Moon Fest at the time was a horror and tattoo convention, right?
Yeah.
So one whole section was like tattoo artists set up, and they would actually tattoo there. And then another one of the halls was all like horror. There was a lot of guests, a lot of B movie guests too, but some bigger stars. In fact, I met George Romero there. I met most of the cast of the Rob Zombie flicks.
Yep.
Sid Haig and Bill Moseley and all those guys. Ken Foray, who was in oh my God,
Evil?
Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, Dawn of the
Dawn of the Dead. And so several cool people that I met there. Well, one year, everyone was going up the night before. I had to work. I don't know what I was doing, but I had to work that night. And I was like, I'll meet you guys there Saturday morning. And Matt Brown actually did this tattoo at that show. And he was like, we'll get you in there early Saturday. That way we can get done and you can go hang out and everything. It's like, cool. So I leave Saturday morning and they're already up there. They'd already partied Friday night. And I don't, at this point, I don't know who all's going to be there as far as celebrities. But I knew there would be like a cool group of people there that I can meet. So I drive to Nashville and it was at the airport Marriott.
Yes.
Yes. And so I get to the Marriott and I walk into like the area where it's at. And I'm like, I'm going to go to the bathroom before I get in here and get tattooed. So I go to the bathroom and it's a pretty big bathroom because it's like a common, deal. So it's like, 4 or 5 stalls, 3 or 4 urinals. And then there's like this big vanity with like 4 or 5 sinks and giant mirror across the whole thing or like whatever it is. Anyway, so I do my business and I go to the sink and I'm washing my hands at the sink and I look up into the mirror, and I see Tony Todd, who played Candyman.
Oh boy.
Walking up behind me. And I did not know at the time that he was going to be there. So what happened was this very brief moment where I freaked the hell right out. Because if
like
you've ever
a
seen
surreal moment.
If you ever see Candyman, like that's the whole thing. It's a mirror.
And you have to say his name.
And
right?
I literally look up and and then it all comes around. Oh, he's here at the con, but it's literally all this happens instantaneously. And so all I do is look up and I went, and all I could say was, "Oh fuck!" And Tony Todd, like he kind of looks and like, and then he dies laughing, and I was like, "Man, you cannot do that ever." And he's laughing, and we talk for a minute, and he's like, "Man, that is the funniest shit that's ever happened to me." And I was like, "Cool, hey." I was like, "You're awesome." He's like, "Are you here for the con?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, stop by the booth and whatever." And I ended up going over there. He gave me I've got it somewhere here, but he ended up signing a deal, a 8x10 or something for me, and we talked for a few minutes. But it was just like, he's a very nice guy.
Yeah.
But you only know him as Candyman. You see him in a mirror,
Right.
and in my mind, I'm like, I didn't even say his name.
How the fuck did he break the rules?
Not even once, let alone the 3 times or whatever, 5, whatever it is.
I didn't get to Beetlejuice 2,
Yeah,
bitch.
yeah. So that was a moment where it was like full on. Was like, oh, panic, and then like, oh yeah, he's a horror guy. So
I kind of wonder how I would feel if I were to meet like Robert Englund, because I've told you about my Freddy story, and I'll tell you when we had just moved to Jackson, and maybe just a few weeks here. And so I'm sure my parents were ready to get away from the kids and have a night out on their own. So being as we were new to the area, they didn't really know any babysitters, so kind of had to rely on referrals from their new neighbors. So they go out, and this girl comes and watches us. And like looking back, I remember pieces. I remember she wouldn't let me go play outside, but would let my brother. And then I asked her for milk, and she gave me buttermilk.
gross.
So yeah,
What kind of psycho was this?
right? So then she was like, well, let's watch your favorite movie. So I go and I get my blankie, I give her Care Bears, and I sit down, excited to watch the Care Bears movie. My brother had come in by this point, and so he's sitting on the couch, and she puts the movie in. So I'm 4, he's like maybe just turned 7, and she puts on Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, boy.
So for the next 2 hours, my brother and I are just fucking glued. We've never seen shit like this before, ever. And so after it was over, she had turned off all the lights in the house, had taped kebab skewers to her hands.
What kind of psychotic person is this?
Yeah.
And starts
Just a
running
psycho.
around trying to grab me. And my brother's trying to be like, he's scared shitless too, but he's like, oh, I'm going to get in on this and try to scare her too. So I've got these 2 people chasing me around
boy.
this house at 4 years old.
Did you piss your pants?
Well, when my mom got home, she said that we looked like we had just seen ghosts. And
Or Nightmare on Elm Street at 4 years old? Yeah, that's about right.
And then she said that I asked her, Mommy, has anybody ever died while watching Freddy?
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
So then my brother and I, for the next 3 years, slept in the same bed with the lights on and would not go to sleep.
Yeah.
So
Oh man.
That's literally like the worst one you could watch as a kid because he enters your dreams.
Yeah, there's no getting away from that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I had the pleasure of showing this to my niece a couple of months ago, and she's 12. And she was laughing. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's a different world.
shakes fist. Kids today will never know what it feels like to have to rely on like urban legend
yeah.
to know if Freddy is real or not. You can't just like Google.
And Freddie, they had the whole song with the kids jump
Yeah.
roping and all that. You know, the 1, 2.
1, 2.
That's freaky.
Freddy's
Yeah. Something about why are kids so creepy? By the
I
way,
don't know.
why is that a thing?
And like swing sets where nobody's there, but you hear the.
Well, I've
Yeah.
got kids, and so as a parent, you have to watch out for those weird things that they can get a hold of, especially with the internet now, and it's fucking weird.
Yeah, it's really
And
scary.
so the things that are equivalent to that now are not horror; they're just creep
it
show
looks like
shit.
Peppa
Yeah.
Pig, but Peppa Pig is
It's the whole
committing
YouTube.
suicide.
Yeah, they literally infiltrated YouTube Kids with a bunch of crazy
Yeah.
videos.
So when I first heard about this, I thought it was bullshit. I thought it was like some weird
No.
like people were like, oh, and
Yeah, no.
'cause, well, to the point of like, you remember certain because I remember shows now looking back on them. Like we shouldn't have been watching these
No,
shows
no, no.
like Ren and Stimpy.
where
and,
whatever. He's cutting the log on the back
Yeah,
of fucking
but I thought it was something like that. Like there was just some like lightly peppered in. But when I saw it, I was like, oh,
yeah, it's completely fucked up. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
and like
It's
the
bad.
Slender Man thing that came
Yeah.
around for a while. That stuff, I mean, it's real impactful for a young person to watch.
but
that.
also kids can just be creepy on their own.
right.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever just woke up and a kid just like staring at, like just standing there? You're
Yeah.
like, what are you?
Stop doing that. Yeah,
You're like, all right, everybody's up now. Like, I'm not going back to bed. Like,
yeah.
it's just weird. They just do weird
Yeah.
stuff or whatever. But yeah, that was a whole bizarre thing. I thought, like, people were like Peppa Pig, and I was like, what? And then I found it, and I was like,
Mickey,
oh, my
the Mickey
God.
Mouse ones.
Yeah.
It's like whoa, where
It
it's like
is
that
creepy.
demented looking Mickey Mouse, and he like always has like a broken bottle, and he stabs his own face with it. It's fucking weird, man.
And who are these sick fucks doing this?
clown who's like,
Troll, yeah, like
definitely going to do, like
some
4chan douchebag.
It's some edgelord on
yeah.
yeah.
It totally.
I'm going to get all these kids, dang. And it's like, come on, man, what
We
are
were
we
just
doing?
talking about 4chan or the chans. There's a few
Yes.
now. 9.
Well, there was like there's 8chan and
Is there a
4chan.
9chan? Is that a thing or just
don't
8?
know.
I don't know. I think there's a few, but anyway. So
Jackie
So
Chan.
there's Jackie Chan.
God, that was
I love that
dad joke.
Yeah.
I am a dad.
Wah, wah, wah. Yeah. So we were talking about like Reddit. Like me, I think you're a Redditor pretty hard.
Yeah.
Do you Reddit?
No, my son does.
Oh, yeah. So Reddit, I've been on Reddit for a long, long time.
Same.
And I'm not trying to be a gatekeeper or like an elitist, but most of the time, if someone posts a meme on Facebook, I'm like, oh, it was months
Saw
ago.
that, yeah.
Like, shoot,
I saint it.
months ago. Jesus. Yeah, get with it. But I always thought of like, and it's not as much now because I think more people know about it, but Reddit used to be like the cool kids table at lunch.
Subculture.
Yeah, it
Like you
was.
didn't talk about it, but if you made a reference and someone got it, you're like, It's like Fight Club kind of.
Yeah.
4chan, however, was like, so if Reddit was like the cool club, 4chan was like the sketchy back alley where you bought heroin and like a guy stabbed you for $5. That place is weird,
Like
man.
the punk
is.
rock skater kid cool club is what it was.
Yeah, but outside in that alley, like you might find some
4chan.
cool shit,
But you might die.
but be careful.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, 4chan
You might get AIDS too.
yeah, and so 4chan scares me sometimes
It scares me a lot.
because it's like there's some stuff where you're like, oh wow, because I'm whatever. I'll talk about it. I love our conspiracy,
Right.
which is the subreddit for conspiracies, but it's gotten like oversaturated with all this silly stuff. Like it used to be like some, and conspiracy theories are what they are. If you're into them, you are. If you're not, you're not.
Yeah.
But
It used to be aliens,
Yeah.
UFOs, stuff like that. Now it's not
now it's like everything is
politically based.
Yeah, it's pretty much all like Alex Jones said this, and you're like, okay, here we go. You know, and don't get me wrong, there's some entertainment value with that guy.
It's only entertainment value
But
with that guy.
like after a while, you're like, okay, guys, like I don't want to hear this anymore.
Yeah,
but she
anybody's
found this really cool thread about astral projection. You know about astral projection? So basically, it's like I don't even know how to really get into it. It's like something I barely understand.
Same.
But it's so astral projection is essentially you're separating your consciousness. It's almost like dreaming, but not being asleep.
So not lucid dreaming, because
No.
they made sure
Yep.
to say it was not lucid dreaming, but they're acting like or saying that it's like another plane,
Like
you
another
can-
dimension almost.
like
that
you can physically go to, and you're like floating.
like a
and-
DMT trip, basically.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they're
Yeah.
saying.
So, but like things can affect you in that.
Like you can get hurt.
Physically
Yeah.
affect you. Okay.
And you know, I mean, they don't know if it's. I mean, it could be all bullshit.
Yeah.
But the stuff the guy was talking about was like, whoa. He was saying there's these clinics
Yeah, in LA.
in LA that like the super rich, like you have to be invited, and like it's this whole like it's like usually
and it's a front.
yeah, it's a business that's like I think that's what mattress firms are.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm totally down with that.
They
There's
have
way
to
too
be,
many.
right?
Yeah. I know that's not my idea. Like
What
they've
if
been a front for
all
something.
the mattress firms are the astral planes?
I'm creating a conspiracy right now. I think the Dollar Generals are wells where they're drilling wells into the rural areas to control water.
There is literally
because there's one everywhere.
there's literally a Dollar General like in people's in their house. They're just like you're like, what? You went to the Dollar General? You didn't leave the house? They're like, yeah, it's in the spare.
There's
thing.
too
You're like,
many.
Jesus, what?
In the most random.
Yeah, you be
So-
driving down in the backwoods country, but there's a Dollar General.
My maternal grandparents are buried like
In
a Dollar General.
like right across the street now. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Like so at the
Buried in the clothing section of a Dollar General.
So where their gravesite is, it used to, and it's not like country.
Gardening section. Okay.
Yeah, right. Over by the Tupperware.
yeah,
But where they're buried, it's not even really like way out in the country, but it's not in the city limits by any stretch. And it's just like an old church with the little cemetery, and there used to be this old like country store, and I don't know what it is now. I think it's just shut down. And then across the street now, it's just a Dollar General. And you're like,
oh boy,
who the hell was like, we need one of those? But I mean, I guess it's whatever, man.
yeah,
Dollar General's like, we'll open anywhere.
yeah.
We'll
literally.
open in a Walmart.
Literally. And you know how most people are like, well, we have to check the demographics to see if the economy can hold up in the area. They're like, we have to check to see if as many poor people and as few as we can possibly get around Because they're definitely going to support us somehow.
I go to this one over here all the time.
Yeah.
Went there before this. It's where we got the water we're drinking.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
But
Be careful. Hey.
Is that Nestle water?
No, it's probably Nestle probably makes it.
Clover Valley.
They just relabel it.
Redistributed by Nestle because we control all the water.
It might be.
Yeah. I don't know.
You never know. So
it's Niagara.
But anyway,
water.
astral projection is basically this separating the consciousness from the physical body and being able to like literally do whatever you want to do. Go anywhere you want to go. Look it up. It's
you
cool.
can even eat, they said.
Yeah,
and like have...
it's weird. But then there's this whole thing about like being certain places you can't get to because it stops you, and they think there's this whole like
government.
The
government is in on it. Like people were trying to go to like
the Pentagon or something
or Area 51, and when they tried to get through, they said there was like some blue light, but it wasn't like really a light.
Yeah, it was almost like this EMP type thing that was like,
you know what that is? That's the alien technology.
Yeah.
Well, the alien technology just probably naturally deflects everything that comes near it.
But yeah, it's a pretty cool read, and it makes you go because I do think that I don't claim to know anything because I don't, but there's the whole bit where we have like our five senses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we perceive the world around us. Like that's it, you know?
Right.
So what if there's something that exists that we don't have the faculties to even perceive it?
Right.
Does that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, dark matter.
Yeah. Yeah. So like that could be a way to access another dimension, so to speak. I don't know.
Yeah.
And shit wilds me out.
We were talking because when I was little, I can't remember how old, but like maybe 7, 8, 9, 10, I was, about to be asleep. And then all of a sudden I couldn't move my body at all. I could move my big toe. And there was this feeling like if I let it take me, I know this sounds weird, that I was going to die. So I would use all my might to wiggle my big toe to wake up my foot, then wiggle my foot to wake up my leg. Whoa. And then I'd fully wake up. And, I thought it was just a weird thing that happened to me. And like through Reddit, I learned about sleep paralysis.
I was just about to say that's probably sleep paralysis.
But
hold on.
A lot of people in these sleep paralysis stories talk about seeing scary beings, and I never had experience with that. So after reading this astral plane, like the way that you get there is like if I would have let that take me, I could have been flying around the fucking world.
Whoa. So I've had the exact same thing, and when she said it, I was like, I even told her, I was like, I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass here. Like I literally used to have that, and that was the difference was it wasn't. I didn't think there was a creature. It was just this sense of impending doom, like something's coming to get me, and I got to get up. But a lot of people with sleep paralysis say they actually see a figure, even if it's not like a clear version of what it is. It's like some kind of shadowy something. I never had that. I'm getting chills talking about it.
Yeah.
But I did have this like sense of like something's coming and I have to get up.
Yeah.
But then she made a good point. Is like, what if it taking you is you transcending into this next plane or whatever?
But I just knew I was going to die if I let it take me. Like
I'm so boring that I've never had any of these experiences.
Well,
but I used to think too, like, because sometimes after you get up, you almost go like later in the day. It's almost like you're in between sleep and awake.
Yeah.
Like you're almost going like, was that a dream?
yeah.
Like I vividly remember it, but I don't remember it being like, was it real or was it? I don't know.
Yeah, you could definitely talk yourself into that was part of my dream, and it felt like I was awake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then I woke up.
But it happened a lot.
Yeah.
I used to have this reoccurring dream too. And I don't know if you've ever had those before. Mine was real weird.
My only reoccurring dreams were peeing, and then I would pee the bed a lot, and that's really embarrassing. But like, don't pee in your dreams.
I was a bedwetter.
Yeah.
Don't ever.
By the way,
I peed in a closet.
We're glad you're here.
Yeah, I was a bedwetter.
I peed in a closet more than once. I thought it was a bathroom. Apparently, I would like sleepwalk and like open the closet door and think I was in a bathroom apparently, and then just piss. And everybody's like, "What are you doing?" And then I'd go back to bed and never talk to anyone. They're like, "Why did he just piss in the closet, y'all?"
Yeah,
and that's
I never did that. I was a bedwetter. I used to never talk about it because it was embarrassing, obviously, especially at the time. Jesus, but there are way more people that's been a thing for than I thought. So like now I'm like, oh okay. I thought I was just like that weird ass kid that peed in the bed. But I was like for way too long. Like up until like middle school. And I had to have, there was a whole thing, but yeah, I'm not going to get into it. But yeah, it was like a whole thing, man. Because you couldn't go, like, I couldn't go, like, hang out. Like, I couldn't stay over people's house unless I was like, hey, I'm going to piss on your couch.
But it was always the same dream. I would just literally be in front of a toilet and be like, all right, I got to piss now. And then I would piss and I'd be like, oh, no. Like, halfway through the piss, I would be like, oh, no, I'm peeing. Oh, no, that's not good. And then I would wake up and be like, oh, no, I did it again.
So at the risk of terrifying everybody in the room, I used to have this, and people listening, I had this reoccurring dream when I was younger. And I have a, I don't know how to say it. It's a fear of the 50s. Hear me out. Not the decade itself, but like styles from that era. Like the poodle skirts and like the greaser look. It freaks me out. And this is why. I used to have this dream from like probably ages 10 to like 12, 13 for a few years. And it didn't happen every night, but it was pretty regular, where I would be riding my bicycle and it was almost the same every single time. I'd be riding my bicycle and it was like Pleasantville. Like all the yards were like perfectly manicured. All the bushes were like the same and all that stuff. There was always like the guy watering his lawn. There was the milkman. Oh, that's like, this is how old school it was. And I didn't, now keep in mind, I was born in 1982. I'd experienced none of these things in real life. But it was always like the classic like milkman with like the white suit and everybody was like super smiling. And I would get to this house, which I assume was mine. Like it was like, this is my house. And I would walk in this house, and this is where it gets horrifying. And it would just be like blood everywhere.
Nope.
And like people hanging and like people chopped up and like body parts. And then I would wake up freaked out.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had that dream for like 2 or 3 years, and I have no idea what that means or what that says about me. But from that, I got this like, so anytime I would see like 50s imagery, it would freak me out.
So Grease, you fucking hated Grease.
Yeah, not a fan. It, you know, from when they
the original, the first half of the movie,
when they're kids and all that, it always kind of freaked me out more. So one of the reasons I used to think that movie was so much scarier than it really is, because my biggest problem with that movie is at the end. Is a spider? Like, I don't... And the thing is, like, a giant spider is pretty scary, but not a psychopathic killer clown scary.
Yeah.
It's a different dynamic, you know? So anyway, yeah, I have a fear of the 50s. I wonder if that's a thing. We can look that up.
Fear of the 50s.
Fear of the 50s?
Oh, fear of the 50s.
That sounds like some kind of slogan.
Some kind of... Yeah. My next album title.
Fear of the 50s.
So, yeah. You guys got any weird phobias? Any weird...
Well,
either one of you guys bedwetters?
No, but I'm scared to death of car washes.
Like automated ones, or like even the
ones that you have to drive in.
Okay, what's that about?
I don't know.
Something traumatic as a kid or something?
No, it happened later in life too. I just get a panic attack.
Is it something about like being out of control?
Probably.
I have a thing with that. So as I've gotten older, I don't really like elevators so much anymore.
Yeah, me either.
I'll get on them or whatever because it's like, look at me, I'm not going to run up a bunch of stairs. But yeah, like it's something about not being like in control of something. So like when it does that stop before the doors open, I'm always like, okay.
And it's always so awkward. Like, what if you got on an elevator and instead of facing the doors, you face the wall? I wonder how people would react.
People are like, okay, you're getting out of this.
They've actually done studies. It definitely freaks people out.
What, the 50s?
No, the when you turn around in an elevator.
Oh.
Yeah. It turns out...
I was like, the 50s? No. I was like, finally, some validation.
I found nothing on the internet about an actual fear. There were a lot of fears in the 50s about a lot of different things, but nobody is afraid of the 50s like you are.
It's not the decade. I think it was like a good economic time or something. I don't know.
So when do you think that happened? I want, because it kind of sounds like, the Sharon Tate murder and stuff. I wonder if it was around when that came out, even though it was in like LA and it wasn't the 50s, but
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it was. I have no idea where it came from. It stopped after like 3 years. I think I was like just before high school. I didn't have it anymore. I don't know.
And the only thing I had like a fear of heights. Like that's pretty normal. But I mostly got over
acrophobia. Is that what that's called?
Yeah, I think so. And I mostly got over it though because I got a job where I had to like climb scaffolding, and I was like, well, I guess I got to go up there now.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm still a little shaky up there. And then my friend Adam was a complete douche. When you're out on the edge of a piece of a board on scaffolding, somebody has to stand on the inside so you don't flop the board up or whatever. And there's a stopping point for the board so you don't fall all the way down. It's not like the board falls out from underneath you.
Right.
But if your friend's an asshole and they get off of that board and it flops up and hits that other part, it feels like you're dying.
Yeah.
Right? It feels like you're falling to your death. You only slide down about 6 inches, but it's really terrifying, especially if you're afraid of heights. So yeah, that's not fun. But I mostly got over that. I can get on roofs and all that stuff now.
So car washes, heights, the 50s.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to a sock hop.
That's what I was going to say.
Forget about it.
I hope nobody ever throws you a surprise.
It's not so bad anymore. I didn't like those like 50s style diners that there was
incredible.
Gunther Tooties or whatever the hell that place was called here, and
Five and Diner.
Five and Diner. Yeah, I was right out on that. So
he was like, to hell. McCaskill's the reason they close down every time.
Yeah,
he's like protesting outside. And shit.
I don't know what it was. I still don't know. I just embraced the weird shit about me and move on. I guess.
Me too.
I don't know.
Me too.
Yeah.
I like your weird shit.
Thank you.
But you like my aluminum Christmas tree, right?
Oh hell yeah!
That sounds dope.
It's not everything. It's more the like. I don't know how to explain it. It's more
the feel of the 50s.
Yeah.
So a lot of
it's creepy
estate sales that I go to, a lot of the homes are like time capsules.
Yeah.
And you walk in and it
so
can look
I think what it is like the creepiness of like how perfect everything was like portrayed as. Maybe that's it. So like
it was a perfect era.
Like basically. That Stepford Wives, like that whole thing, Pleasantville.
We won World War II and then everybody got really perfect, right? It was the perfect generation.
It just feels gross.
What's
for some
that
reason.
movie? My Mom is a Murderer, or
I don't know.
Oh, it's from like the 80s. But she's all like, June Cleaver style.
Oh yeah, that.
But it's
and it's like a really on the nose title too. Like it's like
Mom Murder and
Serial
Mom.
Serial Mom. Is it
Serial Mom?
That's 1994. Mom takes slight against her family very personally, and it turns out she is indeed the one harassing the neighbor.
Yeah, so that whole movie is set in a picture perfect.
Yes,
like
that is it. That's the one. Yeah,
literally the last sentence here is threatening the family's picture perfect world.
Yeah, so that's what I thought of.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. I'm not going to read too much into it. I'm scared of the 50s.
Listen, dude, I validate your fears, buddy. I'll protect you from the 50s.
Rock and roll.
You can't protect me from
do you still
the
do?
or whatever.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to just. I was just like, fuck you, Josh.
That's
do you still do those the estate sales and stuff?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. You always send me pictures of like the cool like the cool scores you get. So,
yeah, I was doing like 4 or 5 a week. But now I just do a couple a month.
I can't do estate sales because like I helped with one time and it was a madhouse. It was like so many people. I don't understand like people's obsession with like getting in and like beating everybody to the good deal. Like,
well,
okay, so you got to look at it from 2 different perspectives. Like a lot of times, with if you're into nostalgia, a lot of times the only way you're going to find these vintage toys
is to get there first, basically.
Yeah, and if somebody's grandmother bought them for and they still have the complete set. And a lot of people do it for one of 2 things, their collection, or you can resell it. So at an estate sale, you're going to pay maybe $10 for it, and then you can resell it for no telling how much. I went to an estate sale once, and I thought I was going on the first day that it opened, but it was actually the last day. So I'm like, man. And I ended up, right before I walked out, there was this like little bucket of Hot Wheels, and I'm like, oh, I have a 3-year-old. I'm like, oh, Max would enjoy that. So I got it, and I think I paid maybe $3 for like 50 cars or something. So anyways, a couple days later, I pour it out, and Max is playing with them, and I just happened to look, pick them up and look at it, and the dates on them were like the 80s. So I started Googling. And the one that I had in my hand happened to be like one of the rarest Hot Wheels in the world. And I paid 10 cents for it and sold it for $200.
Oh,
nice.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, there used to be, when I worked at Walmart, which was like right after high school, so 20 years ago or whatever, there was a guy that used to come in and always look at the new Hot Wheels coming out. Because apparently they're like, I guess they release them in like batches, and there's like a number and all. There's like different runs or something. I don't know. But he was like obsessed with it. And apparently even like newer cars would be worth money because they would only do like limited runs of them. So
it's just like the Funko Pops that people
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The collector value of something. Something is rarer than another thing.
Yep.
And that community knows it, and so they're willing to pay premium for
Sure.
it. Yeah, that's
So yeah, pretty
supply
cool
and
stuff.
demand. Yeah, the estate sale I helped with, I had to look up the guy's name. He's Ed Jones. He was a congressman for Tennessee for a very long time.
Yeah.
And it's weird because like his estate was awesome. It was a really, really cool old home over in like Yorkville, Tennessee. It's like in the middle of nowhere. But he's one of the guys that helped inseminate the first cow.
Whoa.
Well, that's a
Watch your
legacy.
mouth.
Yeah.
You said inseminate, and I was like, I don't know where this is going. And you said, and you were like, you just followed up beautifully.
Yeah. I mean, it was
The
like
very first. You said the first cow, like the first one ever.
Yeah.
The first cow that ever lived
No.
was inseminated by Ed Jones.
the first
no.
artificially inseminated
I got you.
cow.
But I did not know where that was headed. Inseminate? Whoa. What?
Pretty cool estate overall.
Yeah.
And there was a ton of stuff that they sold for a ton of money there that everybody knew was worth a lot. And then there was like other people who were like, got over on these motherfuckers because we didn't know how much this is worth. And we were like,
Yeah.
hey, you know what I mean?
So I would totally like hose people because that was the thing is a lot of these estate sales are ran by people in their 60s, 70s that don't really know about the value of toys from the 80s and whatnot. So
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, like a lot of that G.I. Joe stuff.
I mean, I showed you that
yeah.
all that
Transformers,
stuff
the
Yeah.
old Transformers.
Oh, yeah. Masters of the
toys,
Universe
yeah.
stuff. Yep, all that stuff's
Yeah.
worth a lot. So
Ghostbusters. And
I
that
should.
sort of stuff.
That'd be cool to go up there and go estate selling sometime.
Yeah, there's a bunch of good ones in Nashville.
Yeah.
There's a lot of collectors there. And I don't know if you know, but those old metal lunch boxes made by Aladdin was a Nashville company.
Oh, okay.
So you know there's got to be some
I didn't know
old
that. That's
dude
cool.
there somewhere
With a
that
ton
worked
of them,
there
yeah.
and like retired and probably just has a shit ton
Yeah,
hidden
hell
somewhere.
yeah.
I'm waiting for the day.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know they were at Nashville.
Yeah, so
company.
Aladdin Industries,
Yeah.
they're all made out
Did
of
they?
Nashville.
Did they? Usually come with a thermos, like the little
They
thermos.
did, yeah.
And because you
I
could take the
actually
little
meant to
top.
bring you one today, but it's a Indiana Jones, but I left it at home.
Rock and roll.
But it's yours.
Another time.
Yes.
Nice. All right. Well, anything else? What we got? I think we covered a lot.
Yeah.
Had a good time. You got anything you want to plug? Any? I don't know.
I don't.
Any events or anything?
No.
Nope. Right
Not
on.
right now.
Well, hey, you know Anthony Michael Hall, and I think that's cool. I think you might be, working with him
Yeah, hopefully.
soon, maybe. Yeah, possibly.
That's
He
pretty
talks
rad.
Really
That is
fast.
rad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's all
Yeah, it
about.
was so crazy because like I think I told you about it when he called me the other day. I was not prepared for how fast that he talked.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to take it all in, like literally what he's saying, because we were discussing what ways that he wanted to go with his social media, and it's like stuff that I needed to comprehend, and I was having a hard time.
You're like, slow down.
Slow down.
Yeah. Yep. That's super cool.
Yeah.
Well, Kim, thank you for coming out. I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me.
Yeah. So this will be, like I said, this will be like episode 2, I think.
Yeah.
So be
Nice.
coming out soon. And like I said, I still don't even know what this is. I do know that I don't want it to be, like I said, that immediate feedback we got from our previous guest was like,
It didn't feel that way.
it felt like an interview, and I was like, I don't want that to be a thing.
Today did not feel
Yeah.
like an
Good.
interview.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun. So
It helps to have cool people too. That's, You know what I mean?
yeah.
That the just having interesting
And
people.
why are you here?
Oh,
She got me good, guys. She got me good.
oh, you fucker!
Sorry.
That was awesome.
I have stories about inseminating cows. That's why.
Yeah, look, when you said inseminate, I was like, I have no idea what's about to happen here. But yeah. Well, cool. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll be coming at you again. Remember to check us out on social media at the McRADcast. You just search that on the Facebook, the Twitter, and Instagram, and all that good stuff. And if you want to shoot us an email, stayradpodcast@gmail.com. I'm not going to try to spell it this week. 'cause
Boy, it was rough last week.
I have massacred that. And we'd been drinking a little bourbon.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and
Oh, I bet that was fun.
I was the spelling bee champion in 1989. JB Young,
Yeah.
Elementary School, Jackson, Tennessee, represent.
Nice.
That place is closed down.
It
right?
is. It's complete. Well, they tore it down, and there's a new school there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was asbestos and the whole thing.
Yeah. I
So,
remember that being a thing when
yeah.
we were.
It was my 4th grade year was the last one there. So yeah, 90 something. Anyway, all right, guys, thanks for listening, and always remember to stay rad.